A lot of you may remember my video giving fiction a dose of reality from around July, where me and my friend Jester debunked arguments made by people in defense of things like lolicon. I've had a lot of time to think about it, more like 5 months to think about it, and I've reevaluated some of my arguments. Before you jump into conclusions, I don't regret what I've said in that video, but I think that before we head into 2022, I should give my arguments some rephrasing. And who knows, maybe I can teach these people a valuable lesson. For those who are unaware, there's a subsection of the internet full of people dead set on trying to normalize abhorrent content such as lolicon, shotacon, zoophilia, etc. When confronted about their objectively immoral beliefs, they usually default to one of multiple logical fallacies, which you will hear me debunk in this video. The point I'm trying to make is that every argument they use is fundamentally flawed in multiple ways, and that'll become clear as you keep watching. Before we get into the video, however, I will give a trigger warning. This video contains themes that may trigger people, and I in no way endorse/condone them. In fact, I'm explicitly against them. If you're under 18, or you're triggered by these topics, or if you're a pro-shipper triggered by reality, then proceed with caution, or simply skip this one for now. With that out of the way, let's give this another shot.
I'll have a double triple chungus deluxe on a tit 4x4.
This is the most common argument I have seen, mainly made by absolute fucking idiots. Variations of this argument include, "Oh, it's just a drawing," or "Oh, it isn't hurting real children." But let me focus on the fiction variant first. The idea of brushing aside illegal content by saying it's just fiction is fucked in multiple ways than one. "Oh, it's just fiction." Okay, asshole, and jail is just a place, statutory rape is just a word, and 911 is just a number. Oh wait, that's fucking stupid. Let's also put something into perspective. Look at this little cartoon here. You see the problem with it, right? It's pretty transphobic. Supports the idea of, "Oh, the trans people are corrupting our children and taking them from us." Now, you have two perspectives here. You either see it for what it is, a transphobic ad with a transphobic caricature, or you look at it from the lens of, "Oh, it's just a drawing," in which case you get rightfully labeled a transphobe. Whether or not it's real has no bearing on its message or intent. When you take this argument and use it in other situations, you start to see how flawed it is. Also, if it's just a work of fiction, and we're overreacting, then why are you trying to be taken seriously? What is the point in attempting to silence any criticism you might get? I think Misanthropody put it best in his review of Trump Guy.
They really seem to be going on about how they're just a work of fiction that isn't real, that doesn't have an effect on the real world, so they shouldn't be taken as seriously as stuff going on in the real world. No, please don't do that. That's what every hack on Twitter and DeviantArt and YouTube says when trying to defend a piece of media they personally like or have a soft spot for when it's being subjected to harsh criticism that makes them feel uncomfortable.
Another variation of this argument is, "Oh, it's just a drawing." Okay, then what's the drawing of? Without downplaying it or hiding any details, explain to me what the drawing is of. Because from what it looks like to me, the drawing is of a toddler Octavia being fucking violated. "Oh, it isn't hurting real kids." It actually can be used to hurt real kids. I was a victim of this. A quote-unquote friend I used to have maybe collect material like this for him when I was only 13. This was the same person who gaslighted me. The same person who, despite me telling him, "Hey, these characters aren't 18, had me get this content for him. Shit like this can be used to manipulate real kids. You just choose to overlook it for the sake of winning an argument on Twitter. Let's also note that propaganda was used to manipulate people throughout World War I and World War II. Fun fact, this shit was made by Dr. Seuss. Think about that while you're reading the Lorax.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
This is the second most common argument. The argument that we're all Aunties. You know who else made that argument? Hypnotist Sappho. Yeah, a zoophile known for grooming children. Are you sure you want to die on that hill? Let me also point out how you're pulling the same BS idiots on Twitter poll when they're being subjected to mass critique. You label every normal person as an auntie, knowing full well that you're able to use your following to demonize the other side in order to distract people away from the real issue. It's also the same logic that people like zoophiles use on Twitter to escape backlash. By labeling other people as aunties and labeling yourself zoosexuals or pro-shippers or whatever, you create a situation where you're able to manipulate your following and make normal people seem like heartless bigots. It's a tactic that's never worked before, never works now, and will never work in the future. Stop trying this shit because it makes you look stupid. When it comes to this argument, you have to consider one factor. How will it make the other side look? When you label a normal person as an anti, you have to take into account how other people will view said antis, because who's going to be the one viewed in the wrong after you make that kind of claim? Is it the one labeling someone as an anti, or the person labeled as an anti for being disgusted that the former had defended works literally sexualizing fucked up topics? Go ahead, describe to me. Let me also point something out, right? The reason why this can be so easily manipulated is because of how anti is used, right? So, they refer to these people as antis, and it's the word that they attach to a faithless mob that they can tune out. Anti sounds like an inherently negative term, and they express that negativity very clearly through their posts, whining about how someone else didn't want to see the problematic content that people publicly post. So, since pro-shipper sounds inherently positive and anti-shipper sounds inherently negative, what exactly does it look like to you? Like, as I said before, who's gonna look like the bad guy in this situation? Is it the person being appalled by the problematic content, or the person who is posting the problematic content? Exactly, it's the one being appalled by it. Because guess what? Being a normal person automatically makes you evil, I guess. Okay, anyone who makes this kind of argument needs to have their hard drives melted in acid and to be tossed into a fucking mental institution. I won't spend as long rattling on this one as I did last time, but I will say this. People are able to focus on more than one thing at once. Acting like they can't speaks more volumes about you than it does about them. Allow me to give an example. Say someone posts a work depicting a racist caricature of another ethnicity. People rightfully condemn that work. Then out of the woodwork, you say, focus on real minorities instead of this fiction. You're gonna automatically get called a fucking racist. So imagine trying to argue this point with fucked up works made by the likes of someone like Soul Sentinel. Yeah, you're gonna get rightfully called a creep. If you really want to argue focus on it happening in real life, then maybe practice what you preach. When you're drawing shit like this that ends up being this divisive, consider it happening in real life, then toss your drawing tablet out, set it on fire, then go outside and touch some fucking grass. Oh wait, that requires common sense and self-awareness, which you lack on several degrees. Okay, so now that we've gotten the logical stuff out of the way for now, let's also consider legality. This is something I covered last time, but I want to go more in depth on this. For this, I'll be using a section from a Twitter thread that explains why Hypnotist Sappho can be prosecuted for cub porn. Before you try and argue that a Twitter thread isn't actual evidence, I challenge you to find a source disproving this and then link to it in my comment section. Go on, I'll wait. With that out of the way, let me read off the section from the thread. Quote, an image sexually depicting a minor is illegal. As stated in the link, for all your basic knowledge on this matter you will need. Of course, with Cub, there's a tricky situation, but it is possible to be prosecuted for it. And then it links to the Department of Justice's federal laws. Yep, even the Department of Justice thinks that your shit is disgusting. But let me go ahead and roll off a clip of Jester reading the Department of Justice's guide.
Images of child pornography are not protected under First Amendment rights and are illegal contraband under federal law. Section 2256 of Title 18 United States Code defines child pornography as any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct involving a minor, someone under 18 years of age. Visual depictions include photographs, videos, digital or computer-generated images indistinguishable from that of an actual minor. An image is created, adapted, or modified but appear to depict an identifiable actual minor. Undeveloped film, undeveloped videotape, and electronically stored data that can be converted into a visual image of child pornography are also deemed illegal visual depictions under federal law. This strong content would fall under the digitally and computer-generated category.
As Jester points out, the content these people are defending generally falls under the digitally generated category. Let me also read this off for you. Quote, the Miller test for obscenity includes the following criteria. whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work taken as a whole appears to prurient interest. 2. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by the applicable state law. And 3. Whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Let's go through this one by one. So 1. Whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work taken as a whole appeals to prurient interest. Well, that can be checked off the list because it does appeal to prurient interest. Prurient interest, according to the APA Dictionary of Psychology, is, quote, in obscenity law, a morbid, degrading, or excessive interest in sexual matters. Material is judged to be obscene only if it is held to appeal predominantly to a prurient rather than a non-prurient interest in sex. Given that the works are literal pornography, it is meant to appeal to prurient interest. Hell, all of this shit can be found on Rule 34 sites. You're really gonna try and argue that it's meant to appeal to people who aren't gonna engage in... No, you know what? I'm not even gonna fucking continue with that. Next point. 2. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by the applicable state law. Yes. Absolutely yes. The main point of the art is to depict sex. Arguing that it doesn't makes it look fucking stupid and willingly oblivious to the main issue at hand. And finally, 3. Whether the work, taken as a whole, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific values. This is the point where these assholes can try and make an argument saying that it does hold any literary value in the case of fanfiction, or artistic value in the case of Rule 34. However, it doesn't hold any value. The only value it has is to the fucking cretins saving it to their hard drives and getting off to it. The intent is malicious, it intends to arouse the viewer. There isn't anything fucking artistic or literary about it. It's downright immoral and illegal. Okay, for the love of God, please shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. This is what they default to when everything falls flat. They cry harassment, as evidenced by the harassment of a minor by Sandcipher as depicted in the video I will link below. You idiots do more harassing than the Aunties do. The most we've done is raise subreddits like r/Stovia into fucking oblivion. And even then, that was only a few select people who did it. I didn't partake in it, and I publicly denounced that behavior. Being ridiculed for being absolute fucking creeps isn't harassment. And even if it was, let me spell something out for you. I'm a fucking furry. I get ridiculed for that on a regular basis. Not to mention that I'm also pansexual and have people constantly joking about me wanting to fuck frying pans. There's also shit that I'm a fan of that I can easily get roasted for liking. Shit like Five Nights at Freddy's, Steven Universe, Hell of a Boss, My Little Pony. But when I get roasted for that, do you see me whining about it? Hell no. Meanwhile, you pick fights with children on Twitter and Discord all because they said shit you don't like. If you don't like the backlash you get, stop being a creep and grow a fucking spine.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
Okay, so now that I've got that out of the way, allow me to close off this video with some final statements. I don't condone actually harassing or sending death threats to these people or doxing them. Let me make that very clear. It isn't gonna get us anywhere. What we should do, however, is raise awareness about them, block them, report them, and repeat it until they no longer have a platform to spread their harmful content and rhetoric all over the internet. So yeah, and if any pro shippers are watching this, and I don't doubt that they will be watching this considering how they so loved to complain about my last video, then go ahead, whine in the comment section for this one. But don't worry, I'll come up with more arguments for you. With that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. If you really liked it, go ahead, like, subscribe, do whatever. Check out everything in the description, like my Discord and my Twitter. With that out of the way, this is Quartza, signing out, and have a happy new year. Hopefully I get to see you in 2021. Have a good one, lads.